This is Prince Handley coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure love. The voice of Israel and for Israel. I want to talk to you today about Israel's last option for survival as a state and as a people. The present geopolitical alignment with relation to Israel is configured with Russia, Iran, Syria, Turkey, and Israel. However, this configuration does not include ethnic alliances, religious opposition, or historical animosities of other nation-states per se. Those are a conflagration of higher order to be considered separately. However, in this podcast, I am going to discuss the geopolitical alignment with Israel in relation to Russia, Iran, Syria, and Turkey. And I trust that this will be sufficient argument that Israel must attack Iran now before it's too late. You'll find sufficient details in the show notes of this podcast. Let's talk about Russia first. I believe that Russia planned the Georgia invasion as a ploy to give it excuses to place missile bases in Syria. Russia used the same as pretext for threatening attacks to wipe out 100% of Poland for Poland's allowing the U.S. missile interceptors in Poland. Russia used this as a subterfuge for U.S.-Israeli military aid to Georgia. This was a bluff poker maneuver to smokescreen and draw attention away from placement of Russian Iskander surface missiles in Syria. Yesterday's space launch of a satellite by Iran and the proof of Iran's possession of long-range missiles from possibly 5,000 to 7,000 kilometers gives the U.S. another reason for installing missile interceptors in Poland as a defense against Iranian ballistic missile attacks. Up to now, the Russians claim the U.S. installation has as its purpose the ability to aim missiles at Russia. Russia is bed partners with Iran. They both will ultimately attack Israel. You can read that in the Tanakh in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38. Let's talk about Turkey. Turkey is planning energy sector partnership with Iran, which is only being held back by under-the-table opposition from the United States due to Iran's nuclear program. Turkey is not Israel's friend, and one day will go the route of its Islamic cousins. Turkey will be the foot in the door for Islam into the European Union, from which the coming world leader will be chosen by the New World Order. The New World Order will choose a different name for their organization at that time. The coming leader will be the false Messiah, Israel's worst enemy. Turkey will ultimately join Russia in its attack upon Israel. Let's talk about Syria. Walid Jumblat, up until now pro-Israel and pro-U.S., has joined allegiance with the Shiite Hezbollah, the most dangerous threat to Israel in Lebanon, pro-Syrian and pro-Iranian. This joint defense pact made by the Syrian Druze leader with the Shiite Hezbollah gave a foothold for Israel's enemy in Mount Shuf. Hezbollah will now have strategic positioning in 3 mountaintop areas, including Mount Sinin and Jebel Baruch east of Jezin. Hezbollah, Syria, and Iran can now control most of Israel's airspace to the south, and any opposition forces in Lebanon also monitor the Mediterranean coastal waters. Jumblat's decision was influenced by his desire to protect his mountain domain from Syria. Therefore, he, in effect, joined forces with Syria and Iran. Syria has a twofold relationship with Israel. Number 1, enemy of Israel. Number 2, partner of Iran. And let's talk about Iran. The twin brother for Iran's pursuit of a nuclear weapon is its goal of developing long-range missile capability. Yesterday, Iran launched its Safir satellite carrier into orbit. This proves that Iran has a long-range potential for missile delivery of thousands of kilometers, including not only Israel, but also Europe and parts of Asia. These missiles undoubtedly could contain nuclear warheads. This would also open the door for spy satellites. Israel's tactical advantage of space expertise has probably been seriously, potentially challenged by Iran. Iran's goal is the annihilation of the Jewish state and of the Jewish people. Listen to what I've been telling you for over 2 years. Israel, attack Iran now, before it's too late. Go to the archives and listen to or read the show notes of my podcast, where I specifically tell the IDF and Israel's government how to defeat both Iran and Syria now. And while we're at it, let's talk about Israel. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait know that attack against Iran is not only about to happen, but necessary for Israel's survival. So why is Israel waiting? Israel, you have not listened to my advice. Now you have a 3-position strategic military stronghold in the mountains of Lebanon. You have a previously pro-Israel ally, the Druze leader in Lebanon, who's now pro-Syria and pro-Iran for his own protection. You now have Turkey, who is partnering with Iran for an energy sector. You have Iran with long-range missile capability with the Shihab-5 missile, approximate range 5,000 to 7,000 kilometers, plus the very near-term ability to launch nuclear warheads by these missiles, also the potential for spy satellites. You have Russia wanting to install nuclear-abled 200-kilometer scope Iskander surface missiles in Syria. Also, Russia covertly planning at this time to position military, naval, and air bases inside of Syria. This includes the superior S-300 air missile defense system. Moshe Ya'alon, in his briefing, The NIE and Iran, presented at the Manhattan Seminar January 14, 2008, with reference to Iran nuclear intentions and capabilities. That's the title of the National Intelligence Estimate, NIE, of November 2007. He agrees exactly with me when he says the Iranian nuclear project must be stopped and the Iranian regime defeated by any and all means necessary. Israel prefers that someone else do the job, but must prepare itself as if it stood alone." Unquote. This is the same thing that I have been telling you since 2006, Israel. Israel, attack Iran now, before it's too late, or it will be too late. What to do? Israel, it's time to ready yourself for battle. Here's my advice to Israel's military and leaders. Number 1, humble yourself before God. Number 2, pray. You might want to do some fasting also, and ask God for wisdom. When, how, where, and with whom to attack Iran. Number 3, give no warning. Number 4, attack circumspectly, enabling transitional warfare, with no less than 3 options for each. Number 5, attack in waves. Number 6, watch for miraculous intervention by God and follow up accordingly. Number 7, do not quit early. Finish the job. No concessions. I want to give you a word of caution. When Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went to battle with King Ahab of Israel against Syria, the battle was lost. Why? Because Ahab would not listen to Micaiah, the prophet of God. Ahab listened to 450 false prophets. Thankfully, Jehoshaphat was spared in the battle, even though King Ahab had deceived him. At another time, however, King Jehoshaphat received intel that a great multitude is coming to you from beyond the sea, from Syria. This great multitude included Ammon, Moab, and Edom. The Tanakh tells us Jehoshaphat feared and set himself to seek the Lord, and proclaimed a fast throughout all of Judah. And Judah gathered themselves together to ask help of the Lord. Even out of all the cities of Judah they came to seek the Lord. A man of God named Jahaziel prophesied to the king, to Jehoshaphat, and to the people of Judah, saying, "You shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord with you, O Judah and Jerusalem. Fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, for the Lord will be with you." And they rose early in the morning, and they went forth into the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went forth, King Jehoshaphat stood and said, "Hear me, O Judah, and you inhabitants of Jerusalem. Believe in the Lord your God, so shall you be established. Believe his prophets, so shall you prosper." And when he had consulted with the people, he appointed singers unto the Lord, and that should praise the beauty of holiness, as they went out before the army, and to say, "Praise the Lord, for his mercy endures forever." And when they began to sing and to praise, the Lord set ambushments against the children of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir, which is Edom, which were come against Judah, and they were smitten. For the children of Ammon and Moab stood up against the inhabitants of Mount Seir, utterly to slay and to destroy them. And then, after they had made an end of the inhabitants of Seir, every one helped to destroy each other. The result, victory for Israel. And when Judah came toward the watchtower in the wilderness, they looked unto the multitude, and behold, they were dead bodies fallen to the earth, and none escaped. And when Jehoshaphat and his people came to take away the spoil of them, they found among them in abundance both riches with the dead bodies and precious jewels, which they stripped off for themselves, more than they could carry away. And they were 3 days gathering the spoil, it was so much. And on the 4th day they assembled themselves in the valley of Barakah. There they blessed the Lord. Therefore the name of that place is called the Valley of Barakah unto this day. So let me give you a summary. Israel, put God first. Humble yourself before him. Pray, possibly do some fasting. Ask him for direction. Then go forward. Attack Iran now, before it's too late. As I've told you several times, Iran, with Russia and her allies, will have a role to play later when they come to attack the land of Israel. At that time, the Lord will wipe out the enemy on the hills of Israel and leave only 17% of them. However, for now, Israel, you are facing a different scenario. As I told you last week, Iran will definitely have a part, a prophetical part, to play in the not-too-distant future when, aligned with Russia and her allies, she attacks Israel. However, in that future battle, the Lord will wipe out Russia, Iran, and their allies on the hills of Israel miraculously. But as for now, in the meantime, Israel must take action against Iran herself, with God's help, of course. Let me give you an example. If you know that your relative is going to automatically win the lottery in X number of years, and then will give all that money to you, wouldn't it be practical to keep your relative alive until they win? In the same sense, you have to attack Iran now. Keep Israel alive until that future day, that future battle, when God wipes out both Iran, Russia, and their allies on the hills of Israel. Go to the archives and listen to the podcast or read the show notes of the many editions where I have repeatedly discussed these issues in detail. Scroll down until you find the titles: Israel, Iran, Biological Warfare, and Mossad, Biological War and Terrorism, Relation to Final Signs. And make sure you don't miss Israel Code Red, EMP Threat, Urgent Priority, and in last week's podcast, Israel and Iran, Lessons, Mindset, and Ability. Just scroll down in the archives until you arrive at each one. This is the Voice of Israel on PodcastSatellite.com, and this is Prince Handley coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure kosher love. Bye-bye. Baruch haba b'shem Adonai.